On a deserted gas station parking lot, rain poured down in steady sheets, hissing against the pavement under the glare of flickering fluorescent lights. A rusty Dodge pickup rolled beneath the awning, the neon open sign glowing in pulsing reds and blues across the wet asphalt. Behind the wheel was 38-year-old Travis Cole, a weary construction foreman and single father who had just wrapped up a 16-hour day split between a job site and overnight shifts at a shipping warehouse. Tonight, he was running on caffeine, sheer willpower, and a father's determination. He needed every cent he could scrape together for the upcoming surgery his 7-year-old son, Ben, desperately needed. Travis stepped out into the rain to fuel up, the chill soaking through his worn flannel shirt almost instantly. As he reached for the pump, something off to the side caught his eye. Beneath the overhang, just beyond the halo of the overhead lights, sat a young woman slumped against the wall on the edge of the sidewalk. She looked out of place, drenched, shaking, and lost in thought. Even from several feet away, Travis could tell she wasn't just cold, she was broken. Her dress clung to her figure, clearly revealing the swell of late pregnancy. Her wet, sandy blonde hair stuck to her face as silent sobs made her shoulders tremble. She looked barely 23, a lifetime ahead of her, yet something in the way she sat, arms wrapped around herself, head bowed, made it seem like the weight of the entire world was pressing down on her. Travis hesitated. He could just finish pumping gas, get back in the truck, and go home to his boy. Lord knew he had every reason to. But something about her struck a nerve deep inside him, tugging at memories he tried not to revisit. He had once sat in that same kind of darkness, alone, scared, and with a child depending on him. That memory was enough to make him act. After screwing the cap back on, he took a deep breath and approached her slowly, careful not to startle her. "Evenin', miss," he said gently, stopping a few feet away. "You all right? Do you need some help?" The young woman looked up, her eyes swollen from crying. Her face, even streaked with rain and tears, showed strength behind the pain, an intelligence and sharpness dulled by overwhelming sorrow. Travis recognized that look. He'd worn it once himself. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, trying to wipe her eyes. "I didn't mean to bother anyone. It's just, this has been the worst day of my life." Without hesitation, Travis crouched down beside her, his boots splashing in a shallow puddle. The rain was soaking through his collar and trickling down his back, but he didn't care. He wasn't about to walk away. "You're not bothering anybody," he replied with a warm smile. "Name's Travis. You look like you could use a friend tonight." She studied him, eyes flicking over his weather-beaten face and the mud-streaked jacket that marked him as a working man. Something in his tone, steady, unhurried, sincere, made her heart twitch. "My name's Rebecca," she said finally. "But I'm not sure this is a kind of problem friendship can fix." He didn't move. Just sat beside her on the cold concrete without flinching. "Well, Becca," he said, letting the name settle into the air between them, "I've learned that most problems feel a little lighter when you don't carry 'em alone. Want to talk about it?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked out across the lot, watching the rain bounce off the pavement in chaotic rhythm. Then she spoke. "What would you do," she asked, voice cracking, "if the person you trusted most turned out to be lying to you all along? If everything you believed about your life just crumbled?" Travis didn't answer right away. He glanced at his soaked boots, then back up at her with a steady gaze. "Well," he said after a moment, "I guess I'd try to figure out what's real and what ain't. I'd want the truth even if it hurts. Only way forward is through it." Rebecca looked down at her belly, then back at him. "But what if the truth means losing everything? What if it means starting over completely, and I don't even know how? I'm about to have a baby, and I have no idea what to do." Travis swallowed hard. That ache in her voice hit a place inside him he hadn't touched in years. "Starting over ain't the same as being empty-handed," he said. "That child in there," he nodded toward her stomach, "is everything. No matter how bad it gets, you've still got something worth fighting for." She rested her hand protectively over her bump, then whispered, "What if I can't give my child a real life? What if I fail before I even begin?" "You won't," Travis said firmly. "You're still standing. Still breathing. You showed up, even if it's just here under some busted gas station lights. That means you're still fighting. Rebecca looked at him for a long moment, then let out a shaky breath. You really want to know what happened? He nodded, and so she told him. They sat there beneath the humming lights and the pounding rain as the words spilled out. Her voice was quiet at first, but it grew steadier as the story unfolded. She told him how she was once the co-founder and CEO of a thriving digital marketing firm. Started it from nothing straight out of college with nothing but grit and caffeine-fueled ambition. It took her 7 years, countless sleepless nights, and more sacrifice than she could name to turn it into something real. And just like that, it had all unraveled. That very morning, she discovered that her fiancé, who was also her business partner, had been siphoning money out of the company for months. He had set up fake vendor accounts, forged documents, and transferred funds to offshore accounts. The worst part? He had never loved her. He told her as much to her face. He said it was all just a way to get close to the business, she said bitterly. That I was too naive to see it, and that no one would believe me if I tried to expose him. He said I'd look crazy, hormonal, desperate. Travis clenched his jaw. He could feel the anger boiling in his gut. The idea of someone using Rebecca, especially in such a vulnerable moment, made his blood run hot. That man's a damn coward, he muttered. And a thief. But what if he's right? She asked, her voice barely above the rain. What if I was stupid to trust him? I built this company. I thought I was smart. How could I let this happen? Trusting someone you love doesn't make you stupid, Travis said. It makes you human. You believed in him because you had hope. That ain't weakness, Becca. That's heart. She let that settle in her chest for a moment, then leaned her head back against the wall, eyes closed. I don't even know where to go, she admitted. I left everything behind this morning. I couldn't stay in that house, not after what he said. I just drove. Ended up here. Well, Travis said, rising slowly to his feet and extending a calloused hand, lucky for you, this is one of the few gas stations in the state where the coffee's drinkable. And I happen to know a little diner down the road that stays open all night. Rebecca hesitated, then reached up and took his hand. Why are you being so kind to me? She asked. Travis gave a small shrug. Because once upon a time, someone was kind to me when I needed it most. I figure it's my turn to pass it on. And just like that, two strangers stepped out of the rain and into a flicker of hope, not knowing where the road might lead, but both willing to take the first step. And the very fact that she was sitting there, drenched and shivering, worrying about her unborn child while trying to figure out how to start her life over again, well, that told Travis more than enough about her strength. He looked over at her with quiet admiration in his eyes. You know, he said gently, the fact that you're still here, still fighting, says more about you than you realize. Rebecca glanced at him with a mix of disbelief and curiosity. You don't even know me, she said softly. How can you be so sure? Travis gave a small smile, the kind that came from hard-earned experience. His mind wandered for a moment, back to all the long nights he had spent worrying over Ben, wondering if he'd be able to keep his son fed, clothed, and healthy. Because I know what real strength looks like, he said. It looks a lot like sitting in the rain, trying to figure out how to protect the people you love. It looks like not giving up, even when the whole world feels like it's falling apart. Rebecca stared at him for a moment, then dropped her gaze to her hands. But what do I do now? She asked, her voice fragile. I don't even know if I can go back to my own company. Travis nodded thoughtfully, rubbing his palms together as if warming them from more than just the cold. Do you still have access to any of the company's documents? Bank statements, contracts, accounting records, anything that could show where the money went? I have some access, she admitted, but he handled most of the finances. I didn't question it because, well, I trusted him. Doesn't mean the proof isn't there, Travis said. It just means you need someone who knows how to find it, and what it means once they do. Rebecca shook her head. I haven't even talked to a lawyer. I was in so much shock I just walked away. Drove around for hours. I didn't know where else to go. Travis took a long look at this woman, sharp, accomplished, now shaken by betrayal, and felt a deep sense of respect. "You're not finished, Becca," he said. "You're just facing a problem that calls for a different set of tools. But you've got what it takes. You just need the right people beside you." Over the next several weeks, Travis became one of those people. He never meant to, not consciously. But his consistent presence and unshakable belief in Rebecca slowly began to repair something inside her that had been shattered. With his quiet encouragement, she found the courage to contact a specialized attorney and assemble a small team of financial investigators. It was not easy. There were days she wanted to give up. But Travis wouldn't let her. And in time, the pieces started to fall into place. The paper trail was there. Her ex-partner had left enough evidence to hang himself twice over. Bank transfers, fake invoices, backdoor deals. It was all carefully documented once someone who knew what they were doing took a look. With her legal team's help, Rebecca not only recovered the stolen funds, but she also reported her former fiancé's crimes to the authorities. Within months, he was facing charges for fraud and embezzlement. But more than justice, Rebecca found something else, something she had never expected. In Travis, she discovered a kind of companionship she had never known before. He expected nothing from her, asked for nothing, and yet gave everything. His time, his support, his honesty. Where her past relationship had been full of manipulation and hidden motives, her connection with Travis was built on sincerity and mutual respect. 6 months passed. Rebecca's company had stabilized under new leadership. She had reorganized the team, created tighter controls, and even expanded the business into new markets. Her pregnancy was well along now, and while her belly grew, so did her hope. One afternoon, as they sat together in her sleek office, sunlight pouring through the windows while Ben laughed in the background, playing in the company's new daycare center, Rebecca turned to Travis. "I want to offer you something," she said, her voice calm but firm. Travis raised an eyebrow. "All right," he replied, leaning back in his chair. "I want you to come on board full-time," she said. "I want to make you Chief Operating Officer." He blinked, stunned. "Rebecca, I'm honored, but I'm a construction foreman. I don't know the first thing about running a company like this." She reached across the desk and took his hand. "You're the man who stopped in the rain to help a stranger," she said. "You're the one who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You think clearly under pressure, you solve problems no one else wants to touch, and you treat people like they matter. Those are exactly the qualities I need in a partner, business or otherwise." Travis looked down at her hand holding his. "And Ben?" he asked quietly. "He needs stability. The surgery." "He'll get it," she said, smiling. "We'll make sure he has the best health care, the best schools. But more than that, he'll have a home. A real one. With a baby brother or sister to grow up with. With 2 parents who love him like crazy." Years later, Travis stood at the head of the boardroom table. He was wearing a tailored suit, his posture confident yet humble. As Chief Operating Officer of one of the most successful marketing firms in the state, he had helped guide the company through exponential growth. But it wasn't the title or the money that mattered to him. It was what he had gained along the way. He had a wife who saw the best in him, even when he doubted himself. A son who had made a full recovery and was thriving. A daughter, little Sophie, who had her mama's sharp mind and her daddy's calm heart. And now, another baby on the way. At their wedding, held in the garden of the home they built together, Rebecca stood before their friends and family and told the story. "I thought I had everything I ever wanted," she said with a soft smile. "A successful business. Financial security. Plans for the future. But I had never felt true, unconditional love until the day a stranger knelt in the rain and asked if I needed help, without wanting anything in return." Standing beside her, holding Sophie in his arms while Ben proudly carried the rings, Travis felt the same awe he had felt that night in the parking lot. The night everything changed. "I thought I was just helping someone through a bad day," he said during his speech. "I had no idea I was meeting the woman I'd marry. The partner I'd build a life with. The person who would show me and my boy what it means to be part of a real family." And as their loved ones gathered to celebrate with them, Travis remembered that rainy night with new clarity. What he saw that night wasn't a woman in need. He saw a beginning. Sometimes, he thought, The most important meetings don't happen in boardrooms. Sometimes they happen beneath a gas station canopy, lit by streetlights and soaked in rain, where one stranger makes the decision to care about another. And sometimes, the greatest blessings arrive disguised as someone else's worst day. The rain that brought them together that night had washed away more than just tears and pain. It cleared the path to something extraordinary. Because storms don't always destroy. Sometimes, they plant the seeds of your future happiness.